Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be discussing systems thinking within the context of sales and marketing and how that can be a significant driver for your growth and development as a business. Welcome back to my channel. So before we get into how systems thinking can affect your sales and marketing in a positive way, I want to define what systems thinking is. Systems thinking is essentially a paradigm, which means a way of thinking, a significant mindset of sorts that guides the way in which we analyze the world and the different parts that it's made of. And what systems thinking focuses on is the interconnectedness of different aspects within your business. So a business is made up of various amounts of different parts and sections and departments and functions, and all of those work in an interconnected way to formulate the whole that is the business. And by analyzing the parts that create the whole, we're able to understand where there are inefficiencies, where there are causal feedback loops, and whether the feedback loops are positive or negative. And through that framework of thinking or paradigm, we are able to improve the efficiency of our sales and marketing functions and everything else within the business as well. So this doesn't just apply to sales or marketing. So that's, in a nutshell, what systems thinking is. I'm not the best person at explaining it. There are a lot of videos on YouTube from systems thinking experts. I'll link a couple down below. So to apply systems thinking within the context of your business, and especially sales and marketing within your business, there are a couple of different key ideas within systems thinking that are important to grasp. The first of those is interconnectedness. This means essentially that all parts of the business are related to each other in that they have different causes and effects. So if marketing does something, that affects the pricing, that affects PR, that affects sales, that affects the whole strategy of the business. If the strategy changes, then obviously a lot of things in the business change as well. And if sales does something differently, that would affect the way marketing works or production works. So every piece within the business is interconnected, and they have causal loops and different relationships where you have to understand the whole to understand how a part works. Obviously, you don't have to be an expert in each of the various parts out of which the business is made up of, but you have to be aware and have a basic understanding of the various different areas of your business. The second idea is feedback loops, and especially causal feedback loops, where something happens in one area of your business and that creates a domino effect where a lot of different areas of your business are affected. And these causal feedback loops can be either positive or negative, so they can empower growth or they can regress the entire business to a stage that's not fun. So understanding feedback loops is understanding what I just talked about in the interconnectedness part, that each thing that we do in each different area of the business affects all of the other areas of the business. So feedback loops are a way in which interconnectedness is realized. And the third idea is leverage points. So leverage points refer to relatively small improvements or processes or functions that you can create within your business that have a big impact on the whole. And this requires understanding the different feedback loops and the ways that they work within your business. So if there's an issue with generating leads, for example, that makes the marketing feel pressure, that makes the sales feel frustrated, that makes the production having to decrease the volume, things like that. So there might be a really small adjustment that you can do to solve that entire problem. It might be just a different material, it might be just a different angle within the marketing, it might be pivoting to a bit different of a target market. So there are various different leverage points where you can make small adjustments that have big impact. And obviously this relates back to feedback loops and also back to interconnectedness. So the whole idea essentially in itself is just a big feedback loop, but and an interconnected one as well. But that idea of different leverage points is quite inspiring for a business owner, because there are lots of little things, little improvements that you can do that can have a massive butterfly impact across your entire business. So it doesn't mean that if your business doesn't work in a changed market, for example, it doesn't directly mean that you have to pivot your entire business and make whole new products and create whole new services for a whole new market. It might just mean that there's a small improvement that you have to make your business fit the market situation better, and thus enable you to grow. So now that we understand what systems thinking is, what different principles there are that are relevant to business and to driving growth, let's look at some ways of applying this framework or paradigm of thinking to your business and see how it actually can impact change. The first is to just take your business as the whole that it is and sort of tear it apart to analyze the different parts that it's made out of, to understand how each of them functions. So obviously us as founders and business owners, we are specialists in one area or other. For example, my specialties are marketing and sales. I am not so good with production or project management, for example, but I have to understand the basics of all of those areas. Finances is another part where I'm definitely not a specialist, but I still have to understand a sort of low resolution version of how finances work to be able to understand the business as a whole and understand how we can grow it and what kinds of opportunities there are. So a business is a whole that's made of many different, each uniquely important parts, and to understand the business we have to tear it apart and understand the different parts and their functions to understand how the business actually works. The second idea is analyzing the different feedback loops, and through that analyzing the different bottlenecks and inefficiencies within your business. So for example, if there's a long lead handling time, so if a client sends you a request through your website, if there's a long delay that the client has to wait before they get a response from you, that's obviously a big bottleneck that impacts how the client feels about your business, and also directly affects your hit rate in terms of sales. So that could be an example of an inefficiency or a bottleneck within your business where there's a leverage point. So by making that one bit of the process better, we can help the whole business function better and thus enable growth. So another thing that's very important to systems thinking and business in general is having a culture of trial and error where failures are actually encouraged. And by failures, I don't mean catastrophes, but small, failures that occur in the day-to-day that could be keys to finding inefficiencies and bottlenecks and removing them. In a business where failures are encouraged and where there is a culture of trial and error that's celebrated, we can find lots of different bits and bobs that help us grow the business in more efficient and different ways that make us different from competitors and also make our processes more efficient. So an example of this could be that there could be just a small couple of words within a sales speak, for example, or a sales pitch that deter the client from away from you. So conducting a small client survey about the different words and how they make you feel, or researching the different psychological impacts of those words, for example, could be a small failure that's actually a key element in helping you make your materials better and drive growth in that way. So monitoring and continuously, iteratively, based on the data, improving your business is a huge part of systems thinking, of creating a culture of trial and error, and of being a lean entrepreneur, for example, if you want to call it that. There are lots of different names for things and lots of different buzzwords in the business world, but this is just an example of also the fact that a lot of different hype words actually just mean the same thing and are just different ways of analyzing different ideas. And this is, again, one of them, but in my opinion, quite a useful one. A fourth way in which systems thinking could help you grow your business is by changing the way you do strategy. If you do strategy in silos, where you have a sales strategy, you have a marketing strategy, you have all of these different functional strategies, if that's the way you're used to doing and you don't have a structure, for example, between the different strategies, there's a lot that you can benefit from in terms of systems thinking and applying that to the strategic elements of your business. So, for example, understanding that different strategies are derivatives of other strategies. So, for example, a growth strategy would be a derivative from the business strategy, and sales and a sales strategy would be a derivative from the growth strategy, as well as the marketing strategy would be a derivative from there. So all strategies are derivatives of other strategies, except for the business strategy, which sits at the very top of the hierarchy. So understanding this and analyzing the strategies you have as part of a whole that can be drawn as a tree, for example, or a structural hierarchical graph, that can help you also make your strategies better by understanding how they affect each other. So, by understanding all of these different various functions of systems thinking within the context of business, there are a lot of benefits that you can gain. The first is improved decision making, since you understand the ways in which the different areas of your business function. So that's the first one. The second is enhanced problem solving. So there are lots of different problems that we encounter, and if our first step is just analyzing a marketing problem, for example, only in the context of marketing, then we miss out on the wider context of the entire business. So by applying systems thinking, we can enhance the problem solving within our organization. The third way that you can benefit from systems thinking in your business is adaptability. So market conditions change all the time. There are different crises, different opportunities, there are different fiscal things that happen in the market as well. So having that high degree of adaptability and being able to analyze the economy also as a system that's made up of different parts, and then adjusting the different parts that make up the whole of your business based on the situation in the wider market, also makes you more adaptable, which increases the survivability of your organization in tough markets. And aggregating all of these benefits together, we get sustainable growth, sustainable long-term growth. And by sustainable, I mean growth that is constant and growth that is sustained over a long period of time, which should be the goal of all of us business owners. So that's a wrap on systems thinking in business and how you can adapt it to your specific business and what kinds of benefits you can reap from it. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to get them down below and answer them there. Other than that, thanks for joining my channel again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.